If you're in the market to buy a home, you know things are tough. The median price for a home in the US is up almost 15% over last year. Interest rates keep going up and the supply is really low. Making matters worse, there's all these investors out there that are snatching up all these single family homes with all cash offers. So I asked Lauren Cohen, an international legal and real estate expert, to come in and talk a little bit about what is happening in the market and what we should do if we are in the market to buy a house. Hello, Lauren.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for coming in. Okay, so you really deal with housing markets, not just in the United States, but also Canada. But I really want to focus on the United States today. So tell me, just generally, what does the housing market look like right now, even compared to last year?
It's definitely slowed down.
Mhm.
I think it's slowed down everywhere. My own house is on the market, and I thought it would sell in one day, and it didn't. So but for first-time home buyers, it hasn't slowed down, and the demand is still unprecedented, and there's still multiple offers, and they're still going over asking. And part of the reason for that is, yes, there's interest from investors, mostly from out of the country, whether South America, Canada, Europe, wherever, that are gobbling up the single family and multifamily homes. There's no question about it.
So yes, a lot of my followers and viewers say all the time they're noticing that a lot of the houses are just not available because somebody swoops in with an all cash offer and
Yep.
and then they're left in the cold. So what is it about the United States real estate market that really has investors wanting to come in and swoop up these properties?
So all cash is always going to win the day, and the markets in other countries are much more volatile. And so you have to really look at the opportunity cost and supply and demand. And the US is open for business, and people are taking advantage of that.
And I get this question all the time. I know we have seen kind of record prices for homes in the United States year over year. But those prices are starting to slowly, or will they? I guess I should ask you, will they start to slow down as we move through the rest of 2022 and into 2023?
So we've already seen a little bit of a slowdown because the interest rates have already jumped a couple of times, and each time the interest rates jump, the housing market is affected. Um, and how affected depends on where you are in the country and how much demand there is for the real estate in that area. I'm in South Florida. Real estate is in demand here. In most of Florida, people have moved to Florida in unprecedented numbers during and after COVID, and I think that will continue to be the case. So it's not one size fits all, and that's really important to understand. And also the other thing is that one of the reasons that there's been so much impact on real estate pricing is because people have become much more attuned to virtual wholesaling or virtual purchasing. They buy homes without sight unseen. They close sight unseen. They hire an inspection company and a title company and a lawyer and whatever, and they may not see the property at all. They may actually even rent the property without ever touching it.
So what you're saying is because these people are now being able to virtually look at these homes in places that they may want to go to, that is just now making larger the pool of possible sellers, which then also increases the price.
Exactly. It's there's just so many factors that go into the equation. And I think, if you're a first-time home buyer, get pre-approved and don't give up. But it doesn't mean you have to pay thousands and thousands and thousands over asking price. It just means that you have to be a little bit patient. And patience is not something that people naturally come by, especially when they want to buy their first home or their second home.
Right.
But it will happen. But do your due diligence and make sure that you're making the decision and the offer for the right reasons.
Tell me about the lack of inventory and how that plays a role here in the United States, because clearly, we have not been able in many decades to keep up with the demand for housing in terms of new construction and more homes. Tell me about how the lack of inventory out there is also probably causing a little bit of a problem with this home prices and availability.
Well, sure, because it's supply and demand. And like anything, the less supply, the higher demand, the higher the prices, because they can do what they want. And so people are waiving appraisals and all these contingencies, waiving inspection contingencies, or buying homes sight unseen. Like I said, buying homes cash. You have to go in with an all cash offer, no financing contingencies. If you want to get the property, this is what you've got to do. You have to be aggressive. So certainly the lack of supply impacts pricing because it's going to drive the prices up because there's more demand for the limited amount of supply.
In your expertise, when do you believe we are going to start to see prices come down?
Oh, I have no idea. I think
Really?
it's starting though. I will say that I have seen evidence of it. Like I said, my own personal experience and others. If you are at a certain price point, depending on where you're located, like if you're in a higher income bracket, your cost of financing is so much higher now. And to every $1,000 probably costs an extra. It's significant. It's not insignificant. And you have to be cognizant of that. And so that's going to also drive the prices down because there's not going to be as much demand for the supply. And so this gouging that's been going on will need to adjust.
Yeah. And so obviously we know the Fed is going to be increasing rates multiple times for the rest of this year. So possibly we're going to start to see, I mean, tell the people at home, I mean, I tell them all the time, but it's also helpful to come from an expert who says this, traditionally, right, when interest rates go up, the prices traditionally start to come down in most places just because the cost of borrowing is so much higher.
That's right. Exactly. It just has to happen that way. And it all balances itself out because if the cost of borrowing is this high and the price of the home is this high, there's nobody that's going to qualify. So something has to give to balance out the scales.
Right. Lastly, I just put your real estate agent help hat on for me. And if you were advising a first-time home buyer or someone here in the United States right now trying to get into a home, when would be a great time? I know everybody always says yesterday is the best time, but when do you think, what suggestions do you have for them?
If you're ready to buy a home, then now is the right time. And you can't wait until the market adjusts because who knows what that's going to do for you. Maybe your cost of borrowing will be that much higher. You don't know. So if you are ready and you have the approval and you have the financing in place, do it. Take advantage of the opportunity, find the home that you love and do it. Don't wait. Because the time is now. Always the time is now. And I don't think it's necessarily yesterday. I think it's now because there's a reason you're here now. So now is the time. So make it work.
And you said, but also do all your things, all your due diligence, and then try and get your pre-approvals and get all those things lined up before you do that.
Exactly. You have to have all of your ducks in a row. And again, don't do it impulsively, but don't also let fear get in your way or thinking, oh, what if the rates go down? Or sorry, what if the prices go down more? Don't always look over your shoulder. Just do what you know is right at the time that you know it's right, with all of the cost benefit analysis that you need to do and your due diligence and working with professionals, a realtor, a lawyer, a tax advisor, an accountant, whoever you need to get the job done. And don't skirmish on those things because you cannot replace the quality of professionalism.
Absolutely. All right, Lauren, thank you so much for your time today and for your expertise. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, Lisa. Take care.